this morning was, game group was unsure about the weather again and what's going on with that. And so they're on a plan to get to Long Island. Made a couple changes to the lineup just based on the fact that we are not back-to-back anymore. So that was good. Maybe some guys that, weren't available early on, now we're available and they have a day off. And so I'm not pushing anybody in a back-to-back scenario. So I might have changed just a little bit. And today was really good, just going out there, pure skills, which we're going to try to do more of. We've got good skills coaches, good development coaches, and I think just for players to work on parts of their game without it being systematic or without it being taxing, I think is really positive too. So just taking those opportunities like today for coaches to get out there and work with some players on some individual stuff. So looking forward to the game tonight.
Are you getting close to when you want to be down to one group here?
Yeah, I mean, there was, some things happened yesterday, and, at some point that happens, right? We can't keep marching with 40, 50, 60 people, and those numbers always at some point come down. But right now we're just focused on the game.
You get to look at everybody in a bunch of different roles and stuff. Have you figured out what best you like about Kaku? Like, in terms of he's a two-way guy, he's an offensive guy. What do you like about him in terms of what he can do?
So, based on watching from past and then working with him now and watching practice and games, he's a guy I feel that can really possess the puck and make things happen. He has a big frame and a high skill level. He uses his body well to protect it in the offensive zone and to make things happen. I do think he's a good two-way player. I think he's smart, and so that for me is a lot of options to think of him in both directions and on the defensive side of things and the offensive side of things. But I've liked his game. I feel like he can have a real impact in the game offensively because of his body and his size and the way he controls the game.
If I'm connecting dots, it looks like if Johnny Brodzinski might be in the group tonight. I think he would be the only guy who would play in all 4 games so far. So trying to get a good long look at him and the impressions of him that are standing out so far.
Really good impressions. I thought he and his line the other night were excellent. They were, the most noticeable line. They generated the most chances. It's his speed, his tenacity, and he is in the game tonight. And so you're right, that's a 4th look for him. And those are earned too. They're not just given; they're earned, and I think he's played really well.
Where do you come down on
the defense, size and strength versus skill? If there's a decision you make, are you always going to favor a guy who's a bigger guy, stronger on the net, or are you open to smaller guys who are skilled players?
I've had plenty of small is probably the wrong word. I've had plenty of guys that aren't 6'3" or 6'4" that have been really good players and really good defensemen. And so for me, there's a hockey sense. There's a compete. I find that guys that aren't, in that 6'3" to 6'5" category, 6'2" to 6'5", and they're under 5'11", I find that they're really good at positioning with how they defend. They take time and space. They use their stick quickly and in the right way. They use their angles really well to get into people's ways. And so I have worked with defensemen in the past that have been able to play really good defense doing it that way. For me, I think we're just looking for the most complete set of defensemen that we can get, as a group that we keep here, 7 or 8. And then also when it comes to the game group, I think that they all bring a little bit of something different, but just looking for, I think, the most complete players, whatever that might be. I think sometimes the game might dictate things as well, and the opponent and who we're playing and what we might need. But I think we're in pretty good shape with what we have.
You'd be open to starting with 8?
We've got to get to those. Chris and I would have to get to those conversations later. We'll be at numbers and we'll get to those conversations.
From what you've seen of Matt Rempe, I guess you'll see him tonight too.
Yeah.
Where do you evaluate him on his path maybe to the NHL?
There's a lot of things that I love about Matt, and I watched them, we went to the Lehigh games, and we watched him play a couple games there. You know, you saw what he's capable, you saw what he did the other night. You know, somebody punches one of his teammates in the head and he reacts, and, you know, that was a really positive thing for him and what he did for the team. But there's more to it than that. I mean, not all guys that play that type of role can finish checks and hit, and he can do that. He's very physical. He's still just a really young kid, but he's an enormous man, and he's only going to get stronger and better. I like the fact that in the rookie games that I was watching, I like the fact that he's really good in the face-off circle, and I like the fact that he killed penalties. And so if you can become a really useful player, then I think your path is on the uphill trajectory. And so, you know, he's in the game tonight. He gets another game for a reason. He's played well in those 2 rookie games, and in the game that he played here, he did his job. And so, I think that's for me that's a decision that was earned just by the way he's played and come into camp. I didn't know him very well getting here, but certainly I think he's impressed a lot of people with. He can skate, he can hit, he can take face-offs. He was killing penalties. He can hopefully learn that role more and better, and he can provide physicality and size for our team.
How have you seen your team adapting to the system? I mean, how are they coming along as far as learning it, executing it properly, and such?
There's some things that I think that we're doing that I can see it. I think the D-zone coverage, for the most part, has been pretty good. I think that the forecheck has been pretty good. There's things in the neutral zone that are still off the mark, and I think that that's on me, and that's on me to make sure that we understand what we're supposed to be doing, because it's different and from what they were doing, or maybe what they've done for a long time. And so, but then there's times when I see it work really well too, and so it gives me the confidence that I know we're going down the right road. Offensively, I think we're getting stuck sometimes, and so the drill's just out here today on getting some movement, and we'll elaborate on that and build off of the foundation, build off of what we taught, you know, what the game plan is, and then what's in place and what we're struggling with, and then off of days like today where we're starting to try to move things and do things, to then bring in the forwards and the D together and just continue to work on it. Again, I think the practice days are really important coming up here for our group, to continue to work on stuff. But I'd like to see us unhitched a little bit more in the offensive zone. So there's some areas where I think that we can get better, and, you know, I got to make sure that we're doing a good job so that they understand it completely.
Leading into camp, you and Drury, I think, too, talked a lot about how, you know, playoff hockey is not just a switch you can
100%.
Do you feel like the same applies to playing with that grit and sandpaper?
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, in the original statements, I think that you watch the teams that go deep and go far. There's a compete level that's really high, and it's a buy-in from everybody. And so I just feel like that's a practiced thing day to day and from game to game, and, you know, it's something that it's a focus.
How do you, as a coach, encourage those sort of physical?
I think it comes into practice and the compete against each other. You always got 2 colored jerseys on the ice, and you try to set it up in scenarios where they're competing hard against each other inside of the drills that we're doing. And, you know, with that, I think habit starts to form, and that becomes almost like muscle memory on how we're going to compete.
I think Larry asked Drury the same question, but when you look around the room, do you feel like you have enough of that jam and that sandpaper?
I do. I feel like I don't think you necessarily have to be one type of a person or player to have that. I feel like everybody's got it in them, regardless of, you know, the size or the strength. We can all compete hard and at different levels, but that can still, I think that can still be the identity of your team.